So we now talk about the first Greek, delta. Now delta is very important. Delta of a call is the sensitivity of the call price or the premium you pay to buy the call to the price of the underlying. So partial of call with respect to the spot price. And if you do this, you just get ND1. And the delta of the put is the sensitivity of the put price to the price of the underlying. So partial of put with respect to spot price is ND1 minus 1. So what does delta actually measure? So delta measures if the price of the underlying, which could be a stock, commodity, or a financial instrument, that price changes by a small amount, then by how much the price of the call or the put option will change. So this measures the change in the price of the call option for a unit change in the price of the underlying. This measures change in the price of the put option for some unit change in the price of the underlying. Now we want to talk about a delta neutral strategy. So delta neutral strategy means that delta approximately equal to 0. So what does the trader do? So say trader buys a large number of calls and puts on different underlyings. So say on ABC Corporation he has bought a call, on Delta Corporation he has bought a put, on BCD Corporation he has bought a butterfly, and so on. So the trader will find delta for each and every of his call and put option. Then he will sum up the delta of all his options and will try to make it 0. So at the end of the day, once he has bought all the calls and puts, he will sum up their deltas and he will try to make the delta 0. So he will try to either buy more options or sell some of the options from his existing portfolio so as to make delta close to 0. Now why does he want to do that? Now if the position is delta neutral, so delta neutral means that the value over stock, so this delta V is change in value of the portfolio with respect to the change in price of the stock, is approximately 0. So that means if a position is delta neutral, its instantaneous change in value for small change in the price of the underlying will be 0. So if the market changes with respect to some price by a small amount, then the value of his portfolio will not change much. The change in value will almost be 0. Now delta measures the exposure of the derivative to changes in price of the underlying. So it measures the exposure of a put or a call option with respect to changes in the price of the underlying. And the overall value of the portfolio, that is the sum of the values of calls and puts all together in this portfolio, will not change for small changes in the price of its underlying if his portfolio is delta neutral, because small change in price will not produce much change in the value since this delta is approximately 0. So therefore you can say the portfolio is effectively hedged. So this delta neutral strategy is very important, and large number of banks force their traders to follow a delta neutral strategy. They would say at the end of the day, before you go home, make sure your delta is neutral. So you have to divest some stock or gain some stock so as to make sure your portfolio is delta neutral. So let us see an example. Again, you can plug this into a software. So say your strike price is 50, spot price is 45, volatility is 20%, R is given to be 0.05%, which is risk-free rate, and say your tau is 3 months. So then the call option delta, if you plug this into a software, would be 0.158, and put option value or put option delta would be minus 0.842. So put option delta value would be minus 0.842. So now you can keep changing the strike price and you can construct a ladder for delta. So you keep changing the strike price, you will get different deltas for call and different delta for put. So call delta would be 0.995, put delta would be minus 0.005 for a strike price of 35. So what we have done is we have kept this constant, this constant, this constant, and this constant. We are just changing the strike price. So we are just changing the strike price here, and we are getting different values for delta of call and put. So the trader who follows the delta neutral strategy, he is going to compute deltas for all his calls and delta for all his puts on different stocks and different underlying, add them up, and he wants it close to 0.